Welcome for General Nakasone.
So, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, how about a round of applause for our first responders? So thank you and welcome. So I'm honored to present today's keynote. You know, AFCEA, under Susan Lawrence's leadership, has really set kind of the tone, and we consider today like AFCEA East. And I think we're going to try to brand that as we go forward. But Susan, thank you so much. Thanks so much for what AFCEA does. You know, the nonprofit, member-driven organization that was formed in 1946 during the Truman administration with today over 30,000 individuals in 138 chapters across the globe. And if these statistics aren't impressive enough, their goal is to align technology to meet the needs of our department, the government, industry, and academia. But we all know that AFCEA is much more than just technology. The National Defense Strategy emphasizes partnerships. And AFCEA, well, they've been building partnerships since 1946. And let's look across the crowd today. And you'll see a diverse audience from industry, government, defense, academia. They represent the embodiment of what partnerships truly are. So a flagship participant in TechNet is the DoD Chief Information Officer and his team. Cybercom and NSA's partnership with the CIO's office is fundamental, I would say critical, to our warfighting role. Our collective efforts to defend the nation, secure the DoD information network, and advance technology, I would offer, have no peer. And we are stronger and more secure because of it. I'm proud of the relationship that we've developed. Thank you, John Sherman, and thank you to your entire team. Additionally, today I'm honored to be presenting the St. Isidore Awards this morning to 5 exceptional individuals. We know that talent and people transcend technology. It's our competitive advantage. And recognizing talent today is just as important as tech and cyber discussions. These 5 leaders have demonstrated the highest standards of honor and moral character and provided considerable and lasting contributions to our cyber mission. Pontius, Popiak, McNeil, Larkin, and Holder, superstars, national treasures. The theme for this year's TechNet Cyber is timely. The urgency of action, focused, aligned, and ready. The moment we are in is urgent. And while today is an outstanding venue for dialogue, I ask that you think about outcomes. When we leave here and scatter to our various roles and responsibilities, what outcomes will come from this event? How do we take these discussions and move the ball forward? I'd like to discuss what Cybercom is doing to own the domain by our collective focus, our alignment, and readiness. But let's begin today by framing the strategic context and the strategic environment, increasingly challenging and increasingly complex. As I said, the theme for the event is urgency of action. What demands this urgency of action? Well, let's turn back to 2021. An inflection point I would offer for our nation in cyberspace. We began with SolarWinds, Microsoft Half-Moon in March, Colonial Pipeline in May, JBS and Kaseya by the summer. In 9 months, our nation had seen supply chain, zero-day attacks, and ransomware. I think collectively we understood from that day forward, cybersecurity is national security. But we also see a changing character of warfare with the speed of change, greater complexity and ambiguity, threats that transcend traditional geographic borders and warfighting domains. No longer peace or war. Steady state is an anachronism. Today, competition, crisis, or conflict are our watchwords. China, our pacing challenge. Russia, an acute threat. But we also see the power of information, information that influences, information that alters an adversary's risk calculus, information that impacts a kinetic battlefield, information that strengthens partners. In this environment, the winners will be those that can set conditions for a dynamic collaboration that enable understanding and action. The National Defense Strategy provides a baseline for how we shape the environment, notably integrated deterrence, competition, building enduring advantage. So how do we get there? How do we succeed? Through focus, alignment, and readiness. At Cybercom, our strategic approach is persistent engagement. We seize the initiative in this domain. We are not ceding space or time to our adversaries. This approach is shaped through campaigning with our defend forward approach and our supporting relationship to the priorities of the joint force. This allows us to hone our focus, knowing where to commit ourselves, effectively managing resources and risk while in a constant state of adversary engagement. Cybercom is focused on setting the theater and setting the globe in support of the joint force and the department. Persistent engagement is not only Cybercom's role alone, it's a strategy that must be embraced by our components and subordinate commands. This requires focus. We are seeing this focus succeed with our service cyber components as Joint Force Headquarters and their support to the combatant commands, with the Cyber National Mission Force with our Hunt Forward operations, and with JFHQ DoD Information Network with its efforts to secure our critical networks. Now let's take the mission of Joint Force Headquarters DoDN. Secure, operate, and defend the DoDN. Not easily done considering the immense scope and span of the DoDN. Think of this. DoD has the largest number of IP addresses in the world with 3.2 million endpoints, 4 million computers, and 3 million users. Securing our data and our networks is critical and relies on a vast array of partners, which includes our services, agencies, and activities. How can you focus on something of that magnitude? They have done it under the leadership of Bob Skinner, and they have done it by working across these entities and establishing areas of responsibility, developing a sense of ownership and focus on their portions of our cyber battle space, lending itself to greater collective cybersecurity. But it's more than just focus, it's also alignment. You cannot effectively focus without this alignment. Focus is the crosshairs, alignment is the aperture. Alignment informs the placement of combat power. Alignment enables not only proper focus, but also synchronization, which enables speed and agility. The National Defense Strategy emphasizes campaigning, and at Cyber Command, we align our campaigning efforts with our partners. Campaigning is the operational level of war, where the results of tactical actions are combined to achieve strategic objectives. Campaigning success relies on connective tissue, alignment with partners across industry, the private sector, the joint force, and allies. In turn, our campaigning engages and enables those partners. Our desired end state is an end state of a unity of effort. This is an intangible competitive advantage. We see alignment at work when we look at our partnership with the National Guard as well, whether through state partnership programs with foreign partners or election security. The Guard is a force multiplier. Our alignment with them is critical to the success of Cybercom's mission. Another example of alignment success is our private sector partnerships that we call under advisement. Using unique insights shared by our private sector partners to fill in intelligence gaps in order to support our efforts to counter malicious cyber actors and hunt forward operations. Under advisement was critical to how we responded to cyber incidents of strategic impact, such as SolarWinds and Colonial Pipeline. What about these hunt forward operations? These hunt forward operations are elements of our campaigning efforts and an example of our alignment with our partners. At the invitation of our partners, we send teams to assist in hunting adversary activity on those networks. These operations are not isolated operational efforts. They are closely aligned with our overall campaign strategy, combatant commands, and partner objectives. To date, 50 missions, 22 countries, 70 networks. And of course, at our core is readiness. Being ready is being prepared to enable and act and provide options for decision makers. But to get there, ready requires hard work up front, strategy, authorities, capabilities, and talent. Strategy. This is persistent engagement. It's defending for and it's the development of our approach to campaigning, both as a supported and supporting command. Authorities. Authorities empower. Cybercom service-like authorities and enhanced budget control allows us to develop readiness with consistency and synchronization across the department in the man, train, and equip arenas, coupled with dedicated resourcing. This allows us to shape a unity of effort. Capabilities. What can we do? How do we do it? And how fast can it be done? We learn in real time. We refine our capabilities by learning from current operations. No different for a cyber operator than it is for an infantryman that knows the maximum effective range and sustained rate of fire, capabilities of their assigned weapon system. We sharpen our tradecraft and innovate to enhance our capabilities. This bolsters our readiness. And of course, talent. An enduring advantage and a force multiplier for readiness. Talent must be actively cultivated. We must build diversity, empower our workforce, develop critical thinkers. And of course, as we display here, our Cybercom code, developed by an enlisted airman. At its core, the code reflects the urgency of readiness, a ready workforce, an operationally ready command, and a command that views the readiness of its partners as critical to mission success. But at the end of the day, readiness relies on leadership. Fundamentals of small unit leadership we all learned early in our military career. They remain unchanged and will ensure our force is always ready. By setting the example, leading from the front, establishing and maintaining standards, learning to navigate friction, and of course, maintaining moral and physical courage. So today, this urgency of action, focused, aligned, and ready, they're not mere words. As I said in my opening, when we leave here, think about how we move these discussions to outcomes and effects. For example, our response to the Russian aggression in Ukraine is an example of how our focus, alignment, and readiness significantly impacted the resilience of our partners and allies. We were focused on the threat in the region. National Guard efforts and hunt forward operations provided intelligence, information, and insight. We were aligned with our partners. We had paths of communication. We had developed relationships. There was a bond of trust and confidence. We were ready. And our readiness allowed us the speed and agility to push the impact of that readiness beyond the norm. Intelligence sharing that shaped the conflict and bolstered our partners. We must move fast, but maintain endurance. Urgency of action should not be hasty, but rather deliberate and thoughtful, executed by a focused and talented workforce that leverages the strengths we have developed by aligning effectively with strategy and partners and executing with a ready force. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to AFCEA. Welcome to TechNet. Thank you very much for your time today. Have a good morning.